What's up, peeps? It's your boy CJ, and today we're gonna do a Timex Q battle between the GMT and the OG reissue. Let's get it.
Let's get the housekeeping out of the way. Case size 38 millimeters. Case thickness is 11.7 millimeters on the OG reissue and 12.5 millimeters on the GMT. Lug to lug both feature 44 millimeters. Lug width of 18 millimeters. Both have an acrylic crystal. Movement is unknown on both. Loom also unknown on both. And the price comes in at 340 Australian dollars and 415 Australian dollars for the GMT. 218 USD for the OG reissue and 266 USD for the GMT. Alright, so how does it wear? The reissue wears just right, as you can see, especially with the adjustable clasp, providing a perfect fit for anyone. The bracelet could result in some hair pulling in some cases, but for me, I've not had this issue, at least not yet. As you can see here with this pocket shot, the watch really has that cool vintage 70s look, and it's clear to say I'm quite a fan. Alright, so the GMT has an even higher level of comfort with those chosen bracelet upgrade. It wears almost identical to that OG reissue. With that 38mm case size, I think would suit almost any wrist size, especially for the type of watch it is, being it's that vintage sort of look. So no complaints here. Pocket shot to finish here, as you can see, very nice. Okay, in terms of features, the OG reissue has a nice matte dial, bi-directional fictional bezel that allows you to track a second time zone. The bezel action is nice and smooth, but also firm enough that it won't easily be knocked out of place. It has a day and date, which is a nice touch and always practical for those days when you just feel a bit out of it, you know. I'm a fan of the color scheme and color choice used on the printed indices, adding that vintage look from the era which it's mimicking, so I really like that. Single lines for the minutes markings here on the chapter ring. The dial also has a nice clean and minimal text, which I always appreciate. The case is really awesome. It's always a delight to see brands use that shape, in my opinion. We got horizontal brushing on the hooded sloped lugs here, with the high polish on the upper case. Two angled portions, one coming out and going in along the sides of the mid case, creating this cool, what I call sort of a UFO look when viewing from the side, especially with that added dome acrylic crystal. You can also find a blue band running between the bezel and the case, which is a nice touch. Not sure the material used here, plastic I assume, but it looks really cool. Let's talk about that crystal. While obviously we prefer sapphire, I do like the domed or dome use on this crystal and the distortion it adds. Again, really adding a vintage appeal. Alright, so the bracelet, also vintage inspired, and it feels like it was straight out of the 70s with that clean looking, but not the best design choice in terms of practical use, at least for most people. They regard this as the hair puller. Now admittedly, I haven't had this issue, but it is common for most, and so I had to mention it. Be prepared to get those hairs plucked. While the clasp is not the most luxurious by any means, I love the ease of use and the fact that I can find the perfect size when lifting it up and sliding along, and then bam, side clasp to end off. Okay, so the case back is nothing special here. 4 screws on the corners, but it's nice to see that the battery hatch for when your 3-year battery dies. The silver coin should do the job. It's nice Timex has named the cell used to make it that easier. And then we got a push-pull crown here to end it off. Now the GMT. Most of the features just mentioned with the case are all the same, except for the blue ring between the bezel is now replaced with a silver ring, as you can see here. I think this looks more uniform to the overall design. We also have a signed crown this time, which is a really cool addition, but the big changes are in the dial and bracelet. So we have a glossy, almost piano black dial this time, and it creates a really nice distortion on the edges in comparison to the OG reissue. We also have welcomed applied indices that have a silver ring around the lume, making it perfect for some light play, especially on those sunny days. The day date window is just replaced with a simple date window, and it's arguably a cleaner look overall. And then we have the GMT. Now the GMT hand, we can track at the time zone, which for me is awesome, as I have family overseas and friends. So I always enjoy using this feature when catching up on those weekly calls. Now let's look at the bracelet. Some believe this is the best feature to watch in comparison to the older reissue. Solid single links with some outer brushing and some inner polish. Always enjoy seeing the polish somewhere. It really provides that interesting layered effect. Smallest signed and pressed clasp here, unfortunately no micro adjust. Case back remains the same as the OG reissue. Alright, in terms of legibility, they both are great. Indices are bold and there's not too much distraction on the dial. The chosen colors make for great contrast when reading the time. And let's have a look at that lume. As you can see here, not the greatest. They both start off nice and bright, or at least decent, but lose the brightness very quickly and fade away. However, I have to say that the dull glow seems to last very long. I use both watches on separate occasions, of course, during these recent hot days here in Sydney, and in the dead of night, I could still easily see that faint glow, so nice touch there for longevity at least. Pros and cons, final thoughts. I really like these watches. The GMT is by far my favorite, but I think anyone wouldn't go wrong with either. The GMT hand on the GMT version is cool, but you can basically track a second time zone on the OG reissue, so that's really the best the GMT part has to offer. Where it does offer a lot is the applied indices, black dial and the bracelet. The bracelet is exceptional for the price. The polished portions create a nice light play, and it's really comfortable. While the OG reissue wins in terms of the exact fit on the bracelet, this isn't great because the choice of those links is what hurts. As I said before, it's the hair puller. Overall, great watches for the price, and I think that would make a cool addition to anyone looking for a vintage inspired piece that really looks like it's straight from the 70s. Plus it tracks a second time zone, and who does want that?
Well, there it is, the Q Timex reissue and GMT. Let me know which one you would prefer in the comments down below. Clearly a watch that isn't perfect, yet definitely gives you that vintage 70s vibe. I'd love to know which one you would like. And also make sure I give special thanks to my boy Jason from Just Watches. He was the one who gifted me the GMT, which is really cool. And I'd love for you to check out his channel. I'll also be linking that down below. If you've made it to the end of this video and you're new here, make sure to subscribe. Also to like the video, comment what's your thoughts. And also check me out on Instagram to find out what you would like me to feature on a future video. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to watch out.